Yes, I am Dr. David Murataki with the Nashua School Board. The other thing is that I believe that, at least in the schools, we seem to be having an increased poor population, a low SES population. Do you feel this is reflected across the rest of the city? And can you describe some of the initiatives that you feel not only the city, but maybe public-private partnerships can apply to help this? Thank you.
You're welcome. Good morning. No, I'm going to start by saying I was a poor kid. I don't know what they called it back then, but I didn't know that I was poor. I graduated from the first Head Start program that was opened in our city. My father had died when I was 2. My mother had 5 kids. We were French Canadian, 3rd generation. Can't speak a lick of it, but can make fun of it quite nicely. But it goes into the story. So when I was little, my mother didn't want us to learn French because she didn't want us to be different. She didn't want kids to notice. She didn't want us to think about the fact that you're poor. She always told me that, you didn't have to look poor, you didn't have to act poor, and poor didn't make you stupid. Now, we wouldn't say it quite like that today, but we would say this. People need to be exposed to opportunities. I mean, who would think that a kid that went to Head Start would end up in the mayor's office? I mean, sadly, I stand before you without a college education. I know I faked y'all out, didn't I? Just saying, and it's about giving people opportunities. So how do we do that? I think the first thing that we have to do is the community effort of recognizing that when we house poor people all in the same areas, we are setting them up for failure. We need to look at our community, and when we look at our Tree Streets and French Hill, we have to remember that we have to be striving for mixed income, because nothing makes a kid succeed better than the other kid. You know you can do better than that kid. You can run faster, you can read more, you can get the blue ribbon. I mean, that's what makes our kids succeed. When I was a kid and I was poor, I had no idea I was poor. I can remember going to Elliot Carter. His granddaughter and I hung around. Now, I lived on Orange Street in an apartment. She lived in this cool house that her father, the architect, built. Her grandfather lived on Elliott Street in this really remarkable house. The fact that their room where they kept their snacks was bigger than my bedroom did not occur to me that meant they had more than I had. I thought her grandmother was a little odd. But our kids today know that they're poor. And when they know that they're poor, they're angry. And when they're angry, they think somebody owes them something, that it's not okay for that. And when we leave their parents out of the equation, which we do not on purpose, it's just things get in the way. But we're not seeing those parents in the schools. 2 years ago, I went to Parents' Night at Nashua High School for my youngest son, who's now graduated. And, I was in a shop class, and I was the only parent there. Now, it's just not possible that all of those parents are busier than I am. Just guessing. But I don't think they feel like they have a place in the schools. Because remember, there's a cycle here, right? Those parents were probably the parents that were in trouble in school. They don't know what to do. So we need to do some linkage. We need to work with our community housing initiatives, which I'm doing right now, with Nashua Housing Authority, about how do we do scattered sites so that somebody that lives next to somebody doesn't know. How do we get our parents back into our schools? We're going to be launching an obesity initiative with some of the health organizations and others that's going to go back into our schools and look at them being community centers so that parents are comfortable coming in and doing things. Those are the things we have to do. The preschool you're talking about, to get those kids ahead a little bit. I mean, people are saying, oh, no, you shouldn't have preschool, kindergarten's enough. It isn't. If you want those kids ahead and not impacting the other kids, then you got to start early. And frankly, I am working my tail off to try to get the Charitable Foundation and other funders in this community to look at taking an idea about Head Start, which is family workers. In Head Start, you have a family worker. They work with the whole family. So if Joey's acting out in school today, they figure out it's because, his father moved out last night or his parents had a big fight. They know it's not that Joey wants to kick the kid next to him. And so they work with the family and they work with the teachers. We should mirror that model and not take that away from those families. After a family has 5 years of that kind of intervention, they're making an impact. I would love to see and get a group to fund us all the way through high school with Head Start kids and their family workers. It'd be less expensive than trying to put all these other professionals in the classroom. Stick with them through 12th grade and see what a difference that family makes. See if we break that cycle where that daughter thinks she's going to be just like mom and having to fight, not have a husband that's there for her. I don't know what I would have done with my 3 kids without my husband, who you guys applaud all the time because he's a heck of a guy. But he got to come home from work and I got to say, hey, they're yours. I'm in timeout. We have a lot of parents that don't have that. You know, I look at Maurice in the back with the Norwell home. She is impacting those families and breaking cycles because she's giving them the skills to be parents that get their kids into schools ready to learn. Our teachers can't do it on their own. We really have to all do it together. And you have to know about your employees that come in and what they can and can't do and where they might need support and how your employee programs, EAP, what does that stand for? Employee Assistance Programs, how they can maybe help break some of those cycles. I think we can do it. I have faith we can do it. And this issue with some of the language barriers, just like a French Canadian, it's cyclical. You watch those kids tell their parents not to speak Spanish when they're out there because they don't want that. So, you know, I hope they stay bilingual. I wish I was. But I think we can make real progress there if we look at it differently. Thanks for the question. That's probably a longer answer than you wanted.